Well, time now for another In the Legal Know with Vincent J. Russo. Vincent joining us here in the studio, and today he's talking about estate planning and the pitfalls of transactional estate planning. So, welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
You got to follow Father Jim.
Oh, what a character.
We were both so
beautiful.
What a wonderful guy.
What a beautiful man.
Okay, so estate planning.
Okay, so when someone thinks about estate planning, there are a few steps they should take first. And so, let's run through some of those steps.
Okay.
All right. So first is determining your objectives. And so think about, well, what do I want to get out of this estate plan? Is it about leaving assets to family members or a loved one? Is it about protecting your assets if you get sick? So think through your objectives. Then inventory your assets, your estate. What do you own? How are those assets titled? So you got to have a list there of your assets so you can figure out, well, what am I going to do with these assets? How am I going to plan with them?
With that, okay, inventory your estate. Is that like you're talking about jewelry, like everything that you have in your home that you own, everything, you're going to take an inventory of?
Yeah, the more comprehensive you could be in that list, the better off you are in then structuring a plan that works for you.
Okay.
All right? So from there, if you have any estate planning documents, you should review them. So maybe I did a will 15 years ago. Take a look at it. Then I would urge everyone to consider what I call comprehensive estate planning, so that it's going to take care of all of the concerns and issues you have. And planning is fluid, so you're going to have to modify it and update it as time goes on. And then lastly, retaining an experienced estate planning attorney who can help you do this.
Boy, that's for sure. Okay, now, what is transactional estate planning?
Okay. I have strong feelings about transactional estate planning.
I thought you did.
And so transactional estate planning for me is when the phone rings at our law office and someone says, I want to transfer my house to my daughter. I don't want any other services. I just want to do that. Or I want a simple will. And so it's great that they've started to think about their objectives and what they want to do. But at the same time, I liken estate planning as a puzzle.
Okay.
And so you have to first make sure you have the right puzzle pieces, all right? Because sometimes puzzles can get mixed in with other puzzles. And then you got to put those pieces together. And that puzzle creates a picture. And every picture tells a story, right? So it's important that it's not done in a vacuum. A transactional step is, it's like being in a silo. It's very narrow-minded in that way. And it may still be a good idea to do it, but I think it needs to be framed in the bigger picture first.
Because I feel like, don't a lot of us basically do the transactional? Are you finding most people do that?
That's right.
Yes, me.
That's the starting
Okay.
point. So there are pitfalls.
Alrighty.
So let's talk about the first call, the deed being transferred to the daughter.
Okay.
Does mom have other children? If she does, how is that going to work in terms of how she's going to leave her assets later on? Does mom realize that once she transfers it, she has no longer control over the house? The daughter can get a mortgage. The daughter could ask her to leave. The daughter could sell the house.
Yeah, you don't.
Does mom realize that? Does mom understand that maybe they're going to lose their real estate exemption because she's a senior? Does mom realize that it may create later larger taxes to be paid when the house is sold because she lost the step up in basis? So all of these are good questions there. That's where the estate planner comes in. And let's say the simple will. So we're going to have the simple will. And so I want to leave it to my children. I have 3 children, and I want to just leave it outright to them. Well, we need to think about who are these children? Do they have any issues? Does one of them have special needs? And so it should be in a trust to maintain government benefits, or one's a spendthrift, or is in a bad marriage. Do you really want to leave those assets directly to that child, even if they're an adult? What about if you have do you have grandchildren? And if you have grandchildren, how are you taking care of them? Who's going to be in charge? Who are you going to name executor? Who's going to be the backup? Life is not simple.
I know. It does sound like, okay, so I have 3 children, just divide it evenly. Obviously not that simple, right?
That's right.
Wow. Okay. Is there a better approach?
Yes.
Than my approach to estate planning?
Well, I don't want to suggest that someone should not call and say, I want to do A, B, or C.
Right.
Because that's really important. I think it's up to the professional, the experienced estate planner, to put it in a bigger framework. All right? So I love comprehensive estate planning, where someone's saying, okay, I want to have a will, or I want to transfer my home to my daughter, but in an openness to understanding the consequences of doing A, B, or C. So the experienced attorney can say, here are some options. So let's take the transfer to the daughter. It could be transferred with a retained life estate. What does that mean? Mom has the legal right to live there the rest of her life. She can't be thrown out. There's a step up in basis to save taxes later on. She stays in control. It protects her if she needs Medicaid, home care services. So that's an option. Or it could be putting the house in a trust. Or if it's the will situation, it may be that we have contingencies, the what ifs. What if your daughter predeceases you or dies in an accident with you? Let's make sure it's going to the right people. If it's going to grandchildren and they're minors, you have to have a trust because you don't want to leave it to a 5-year-old. So that's pulling it all together. And beyond that is to make sure you have durable power of attorney, a healthcare proxy. So while you're alive, you're protected as well. So that's more comprehensive estate planning.
And we really do. You do need the professional to help you. You do this every day.
Absolutely.
We do not do this every day. So important. Also, I just want to direct people to the website because you do offer free resources there to help with estate planning.
Sure. We have a robust website that has blogs, articles, and information on estate planning at vjrusso.com. And there's a questionnaire that can be downloaded and a list of documents. That's a good starting point for our viewers. There's no obligation. It's just download it.
Okay.
And we have guides, planning guides. So we have an estate planning guide, an elder law guide. So those can be very helpful. vjrussolaw.com.
For anybody.
/guides. For anybody.
Anybody can go there.
And so I just want to end with, you don't call up the doctor and say, I want you to take my appendix out because I have a pain in my side. I think the doctor wants to do some blood tests, some scans, an MRI, and maybe you do need to take it out, maybe you don't.
Okay.
The estate planner's got to approach it in the same way.
A little more comprehensive,
Yes,
as we like to say.
that's right.
Vincent, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah.